everybody, welcome back. In today's video I want to let you know all about our trip from Toronto to Vancouver. We drove over 4,000 kilometers and it took us 2 weeks to get there. It took us that long because we decided to stop in different provincial parks along the way. As well, we decided to do car camping instead of building the tent every single time that we got to our campsites. This was much better than sleeping on a tent. After we packed everything that we need, we start our trip. Road trip! Woohoo! Our first stop was Killarney Provincial Park and it took us 4 hours and a half to get there. All the provincial parks that I'm going to show you are the most popular ones around the entire country. Our campsite was located Hi everybody, welcome back. In today's video I want to let you know all about our trip from Toronto to Vancouver. We drove over 4,000 kilometers and it took us 2 weeks to get there. It took us that long because we decided to stop in different provincial parks along the way. As well, we decided to do car camping instead of building the tent every single time that we got to our campsites. This was much better than sleeping on a tent. After we packed everything that we need, we start our trip. Road trip! Woohoo! Our first stop was Killarney Provincial Park and it took us 4 hours and a half to get there. All the provincial parks that I'm going to show you are the most popular ones around the entire country. Our campsite was located at George Lake and this lake is humongous, so you will spend a couple of hours exploring it. Don't forget to bring your kayaks, paddleboards or canoes, and just in case if you don't have them, you can rent them here as well. Because this park is big, we ended up staying 2 nights and 3 days. We decided to do this trip during quarantine, and for that reason the showers were closed and the only way to kind of clean yourself was swimming on the lake.
So far, and now let go. Let the feeling take its toll. We've worked so hard, now don't you know this is music.
From this point, you can launch your boats, canoes, or kayaks, and you will reach Lake Superior. As well, here you will find one of the main hiking trails, and it will take almost 3 hours to complete the entire loop. There is another trail beside the beach, and this one is pretty interesting because here you can do backpacking and it will take between 7 to 10 days to complete the entire loop. But we just walked for an hour and then headed back to our campsite. The next morning we woke up and packed everything up and continued driving to our next campsite. It took us 10 hours to get there because we had to stop a few times. We get there at 7 p.m. and immediately decided to go to the lake and swim just to clean up a little bit. Surprisingly, this lake still is part of Lake Superior, and that was very shocking because we didn't know that it was that big. The next morning we woke up very early so we were able to explore a little more of this park. We wanted to have a short and quick hike in order to continue driving to our next campsite. Our next destination was Heron Provincial Park, and in order to get there we had to drive for 6.5 hours. But along the way we ended up finding this gorgeous waterfall and we stayed there for maybe half an hour checking it out. After driving a couple of hours, we finally reached our destination, which was Heron Provincial Park. We chose this park because it was located very close to the border with Manitoba. When we arrived to this park, it was 8 p.m. and rainy, so we didn't do much here other than eat and immediately fall asleep because at this point we were quite tired of driving for such a long hours. The next morning we continued our driving and finally we reached Manitoba. A very interesting fact is that it took us more than 20 hours to cross the entire Ontario province. We're just putting a little bit of gas in Manitoba, and basically here we are not camping at all because they don't allow you. If you are going to stay in Manitoba for 1 day or even more, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days. So that's why we are just passing by. It will take us around 6 hours to cross the entire province. As soon as we reach Manitoba, we notice how fast the scenery changed, and here you will notice that everything is completely flat and you will see that for kilometers ahead, so it was quite shocking and beautiful at the same time. Now, we had to drive a total of 8 hours in order to reach our campsite that was located in Saskatchewan. This campsite was amazing because we had to pay $32 per night and it was fancy comparing with other ones that we have been in. Something important that you have to know is that they give you free wood and you can grab as much as you want of it. Something interesting about Saskatchewan is that they had completely different rules about COVID-19. In fact, they were the only ones who kept the showers in provincial parks open, and finally here we were able to properly shower, so that was very nice of them. As well, the prices of every provincial park are much cheaper than Ontario, and as I mentioned before, they give you free wood and you pretty much can use as much as you want. We were so shocked about this park because it had a baseball and golf course, mini golf, a drive-in theater, a laundry room that was very big. Even though it's a camping area, it felt more like a small town. By the way, we just stayed one night here.
Showing up, don't wanna have to wait tonight. Better off, I'm gonna find my way tonight. Won't you talk to me? I wanna heal your sorrows. We'll make a new tomorrow. One night to find the answer. What makes this heart beat faster?
The next morning we woke up extremely early because we had to drive for 12 hours in order to get to Banff, located in Alberta. Now, this is a big recommendation, I hope you follow it. Try to drive during the day because at night the highway does not have any type of lights and it's extremely dark. At the same time, in the majority of areas that you are going to pass through, there is no phone signal, and if something bad happened or your car broke down or whatever, it is very difficult to find help. Now, during the day you will see a lot of cars that maybe will stop and help you, but at night it could be very difficult, and as you can see in the video, there are not too many houses and towns nearby. For that reason, it's better driving during the day. Passing through Saskatchewan, we stopped in two main attractions. One was the Red Lake, and here you will see a lot of birds. This is located just beside the highway. After driving for a while and passing several farms, we finally reached our second spot, which is the Great Sand Hills. And this place is located close to the border with Alberta. By the way, you don't have to pay anything in order to access this place. We kept driving for a while until we reached Alberta. A very interesting fact is that just before arriving to Calgary, the land is very flat. And as soon as you pass Calgary, you will start seeing these big mountains. From the city of Calgary, we drove 1.5 hours in order to reach Banff, and here is where our campsite was located. Banff is one of the most touristic areas in Alberta, and in order to access to this humongous national park, you need to pay a daily fee, or better yet, a year pass. The pass allows you to visit hiking trails, mountains, and lakes. We ended up buying the year pass because it was cheaper, and that allowed us to enter to other national parks around Canada as well, and because we stay 4 days here. If you're just driving through the park, you don't need to purchase the pass. And after driving several hours from Saskatchewan to Alberta, we finally got to our campsite located here in Banff. The park rules were very strict and they didn't allow us to keep any type of food inside of the tent or on top of the table if we were not present on the campground. The reason of this is because there are so many animals that get attracted to the scents, and there was a high alert for grizzly and black bears. And if you didn't follow the rules, they banned you right away from the campground. If you want to make fire, you need to buy a fire permit that costs $8 or $10, I don't remember exactly, and that allows you to grab as much wood as you want for all the days that you're going to be camping there. Close to our campsite, we had two beautiful lakes. This one is called Two Jack Lake, and it was located 5 minutes away from our campsite. So something that you need to know is that in general, the water here is extremely cold and it is quite painful swimming here. We tried to do it and we couldn't resist being more than a minute inside of the water. That's why you will not see too many people swimming. You will see a lot of people on kayaks, paddle boards or canoes, because it is very painful to stay inside of the water. From Two Jack Lake, we drove 5 more minutes until we reached Lake Minnewanka. This lake is massive. Here you will find boat cruise, boat rental, and guided fishing, hiking trails, and even a snack bar. Early in the morning, we drove towards Lake St. Louis, which is one of the most popular lakes in this national park. It took us 40 minutes to reach this point from downtown Banff. We arrived there before 8 a.m. At that time, the parking lot was completely packed. They told us that it's better go super early before 8 or after 6 p.m. Along the highway, you will find these bridges which were designed for animals and they can cross safely. As well, you will find different trails that you can take and hike for hours. By the way, there is a small villa before arriving to Lake Louise, and here I recommend you to go to the visitor center and of course obtain one of the maps so you have a clear idea of all the activities that you can do around that area. If not, you just drive 5 more minutes from the villa and then finally you will reach the lake. From the parking lot, you just have to walk 5 minutes and you will see this beautiful lake. Just in case, you don't have to pay any type of entry fee in order to access to this lake because you already pay for the daily pass or the year pass that I showed you before. If you want to kayak on the lake, you have to pay over $100 for 1 hour. So if you have the money and you want to do it, of course you can do it. As well, there are different hiking trails that you can take and spend the day there. In the afternoon, we head back to downtown Banff. There were several restaurants, hotels, and different activities to do. Once again, I recommend you to go to the visitor center and they will give you a map and you will know exactly what you can do around this area. The next morning we visit Lake Monier, which is close to Lake Louise. From the main highway you had to drive for 11 kilometers up to the mountain in order to get here. To get here it's very difficult because the parking is small and they don't allow too many cars. So we decided to walk. It was 11 kilometers, but thankfully we were hitchhiking and somebody picked us up.
Parking lot fills up at 7 a.m. according to what they told us. We came here at 8 and it was full. So it's actually true.
Yep. Just in case, you can rent a canoe and that costs $100, but you can fit 3 people inside of the canoe. As well, there are different trails that you can take. The view is just fantastic and breathtaking. As a quick tip, always check the difficulty level of each hiking trail, as well as how many kilometers and how long it's going to take you to complete that trail. If it says that it's difficult, trust me, it's going to be very difficult. Always be mindful of your capacity and how much your body can handle. As well, there are other hiking trails that require to have a minimum of 4 people in order to access them. And the reason of this is because there is a high alert for grizzly bears or black bears. So try to follow the directions and you will be fine. The next morning we decided to hike in Halink Peak, which is located 42 minutes from Banff in this big town called Canmore. This was one of the hardest hikes that I ever done in my entire life. That's why I told you always check the difficulty level of each hiking trail. And we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be super easy. It's just 3.3 kilometers. We're going to be fine. But holy smoke, you have no idea how hard it was, to the point that our legs were shaking. We couldn't even breathe in some point. It was very tough. We took like 3 hours to get to the top. It was so satisfying, but very hard. Believe it or not, the easy way to go down is by running. I know that that sounds insane, but that helped us to avoid a lot of pain in our legs. In some areas we were just walking and our legs were so tired that they kept shaking. It was horrible. And by doing this, we just took 45 minutes until we reached the bottom. The next morning we packed everything up to continue our road trip. This time we moved to Jasper National Park, located 3.5 hours away from Banff. Along the highway you will find this place where you can purchase the car pass. In our case we just showed the one that we purchased in Banff that covered the entrance for this national park as well. Now I want to make one of the biggest recommendations for this road trip. Make sure to keep your gas tank full and try to fill it up every time that is half empty. The reason of this is because in a lot of areas that you're going to pass through, there is nothing around. Some gas stations have signs that tells you that that is your last opportunity to put gas because in 150 kilometers you will not find anything at all, and that was true. An hour before arriving to downtown Jasper, we make a quick stop in Athabasca Glacier. Here you can take a few hiking trails and explore this gorgeous place. By the way, you don't have to pay additional fee in order to access it because it is covered when you buy the car pass. Another wonderful place to visit is Athabasca Waterfalls, and this is located 30 minutes away from downtown Jasper. Finally, we arrived to the little town of Jasper and immediately went to the visitor center to request a map in order to see all the activities that they recommended to do here. By the way, we just stayed one night here because we wanted to continue our road trip to Vancouver. The next morning we got ready and continued our driving towards Kamloops. This is located in British Columbia and it took us 4.5 hours in order to reach this point. When we reached British Columbia, we were not able to find any campsite here because they were completely packed, and even when we tried to camp in a private trailer park, they didn't allow us to stay there because the washrooms were closed because COVID-19, and they allowed all the RVs because they have their own bathrooms, but tent camping or car camping, it was pretty much impossible to find a place there. That's why we ended up staying in a hotel in Kamloops. The next day we left the hotel at 6 in the morning in order to drive towards Vancouver. It took us almost 4 hours to get there, and our first stop was Stanley Park, which is a humongous park located on the border with downtown Vancouver. Now, as a quick tip, if you are driving something bigger like an RV, parking at Stanley Park is the best option for you because there is a lot of space and it's cheaper. It cost us less than $15 for the entire day. If you are going to explore the park, I recommend you to bring your bicycle because it's going to be easier and faster to explore all of it. In some point, we ended up leaving Stanley Park and kept biking towards downtown Vancouver to find something to eat. Now, for us, downtown Vancouver wasn't like super shocking or crazy because, to be honest, it's very similar to downtown Toronto. Now, I don't know why this happened, but our main idea was staying in downtown Vancouver for 2 or 3 days. But after spending a couple of hours there, we head back to our car, and at that point, we just look at each other and it was like, hey, like, I don't want to stay in the city anymore. What if we just head back to any campground? Because it was Saturday, all the campgrounds nearby were full. Our only option was head back to Kamloops and stay the night in a hotel there. At this point, it was 2 weeks since we started our trip, and we just decided to head back home. Now, we just took 4 days to head back, and I do not recommend you to do it in that short period of time. The reason of this is because we ended up driving for 12 or 14 hours per day, and that was brutal for our body. It was very tiring pretty much. So don't do it. Take your time, and maybe every 6 hours or maybe 7 hours driving per day is okay, but more than that, it's bad, so don't do it. Okay, so the next morning we ended up driving from Kamloops to Calgary, and it took us 9 hours to get there. In Calgary, we just stayed one night in a hotel, and that's it. From Calgary, we drove 10 hours until we reached our campsite in Saskatchewan and stayed there for one night. And then the next morning, we drove for 12 hours from Saskatchewan until we reached our campsite in Ontario. I want to make a big recommendation for this entire road trip, and always try to add 1 or 2 hours to your driving time. The reason of this is because, of course, you're going to stop just to put gas, to go to the bathroom, buy food, or simply take pictures of the scenery. And if you're driving for a very long time and you are going to arrive to your destination in the late afternoon, you don't want to drive at night because it's very, very dark and there is no lights along the highway. There are a lot of animals along the way that try to pass the highway, and of course you don't want to kill them or get into an accident. When we got to Kalabeca Falls, it was almost 8 p.m. That's why immediately we went for a hike before it got dark. The next morning we drove to Sleeping Giant, which is located an hour and a half from Kalabeca Falls. It was rainy the day that we arrived, but we couldn't resist going for a hike and we get very wet, but it was totally worth it. We ended up hiking for 14 kilometers. Once again, I want to recommend you to check the difficulty level of each hiking trail. Don't be fooled if it says that it's maybe 1 kilometer hike in a difficult level trail. Trust me, it's going to be very hard. We ended up hiking in the Head Trail, and this one is one of the steepest hiking trails in the entire park. By the way, it has just 1.4 kilometers to hike, but the difficulty level is very high. It was very hard to reach the top, but so satisfying when we finally were able to see the lake, so I totally recommend you to do it. After the hike, we went to the lake to swim for a little while, and yep, the water was very cold. And after that, we went to our campsite to rest for the night. The next morning we continued our driving, and this time we were moving towards Pancake Lake. So 1 hour into our driving, the tire exploded, and here we didn't have any type of phone signal and we couldn't call anybody. Thankfully, we brought with us all the tools necessary to change any type of tire. So this is another big recommendation: always bring as many tools as you can imagine, because these things can happen. After replacing the tire, we kept going and stopped in different areas along the highway that were very nice to see. After 6 p.m. we arrived to Pancake Lake, and when we were looking for places to sleep, this provincial park was a little bit underrated because it's located beside the highway, but I thoroughly recommend you to go because it was gorgeous. More than anything, the beach and the lake were humongous, and it was just amazing to be there. The next morning we packed everything up to continue our driving towards Groundy Lake. This was the last provincial park that we were going to stay at before getting home. Now I'm almost done with this video, and I want to let you know that we took 19 days and more than 10,000 kilometers driving in order to complete this entire road trip. If you're planning to do something similar, do it during summer and take more time to truly enjoy the scenery and nature of each provincial park. This was a wonderful experience, and I totally recommend you to do it.
Mayday, mentira. No tengas. Tomar fotos. Oh.
Hi
everybody, today I want to give you some information about Grand Mutu Hotel in Cayo Coco, Cuba. So this will be our second time visiting this place. The first thing that you need to know is about the distance. So it will take between 40 minutes to an hour to get from the airport to the hotel, and that depends of how many people is in the bus. They will pick you up in these big buses, which they have air conditioner, and the ride is pretty comfortable and easy. By the way, the hotel is not too big, and that is nice because you can get to different places faster. This time we stayed for 2 weeks, and the first week we stayed in building number 5. We had to change because we had a plumbing issue, and they tried to solve it quite fast, but some water was still leaking a little bit from the toilet. So by second week more family arrived, and that's why we just wanted to be closer to them, so we moved to building 6. So here's where it gets quite tricky. Depends of the room, you will have like good reviews, other times no. When we moved to building 6, our room, everything was working, but it was very smelly and like mold. But in building 5 we didn't have any smell, but again the water damage that was happening. My family was in another room in building 6 as well, and they didn't have any complaints, they didn't have bad smell. So I don't know, it's quite tricky, depends of the room. Sometimes you will have like a great room, other times no. So at the end of the day, if you don't like the room or something is not working, they try to fix it quite fast, and they will accommodate you in other place. By the way, a lot of people ask about the water pressure, and truly it was delicious. They have a lot of water, and it was warm or very cold, depends on what you like, but it was fantastic. Now let's talk about the beach, and this is one of the most beautiful beaches that I ever been. And the reason of this is because the water is so shallow. So if you have kids, it's fantastic because you are not going to be scared of waves coming all the time. Normally during the day there is not too much wind and the water is very calm, and after 3 in the afternoon it's when the wind start coming and you will notice a lot of waves coming. So it's still not that strong, and if you like to be jumping around, obviously with caution. So it is very nice for sure. As well, the beach is super mega long, and you can walk for hours if you want. Normally when the water is very calm, they will take out the paddle boards, kayaks, or even you can use the catamaran. There are a bunch of activities that you can do there. One of the biggest tips that I want to give you is that please bring mosquito repellent, because they have these tiny mosquitoes that will devour you. It's nuts. So they appear very early in the morning, and they will disappear around 9:30 in the morning when there is a lot of wind, and they will reappear around 6. So in areas where you have shade and there is no wind, it will be covered by these tiny mosquitoes. So be very careful because you don't see them and they are so tiny, they bite so much, it's just nuts. So be prepared for it. Now let's talk about food, which is one of the biggest things that people complain about it. And to be honest, I really like this place because they do have a lot of variety and the flavor was excellent. The majority of things have a lot of condiments and I cannot complain about it. It was delicious. They have a lot of fruits and juice and meats. Sometimes the soups or things like that could be a little bit salty, but in general everything was amazing. This time we just noticed that they didn't have too much bread because in general in the island they didn't have flour. So remember that Cuba sometimes they don't have certain products. We noticed that people bring their own ketchups and Nutella and things like that because they don't have it there. So if you miss some specific flavor, just bring it. By the way, every single day there will be some musicians playing beautiful music, and of course you can tip them if you want. So that is their way of living. And a lot of people always ask about alcohol. So Normally here in the restaurants and in the buffet during lunch or dinner, they will serve champagne or wine, and on the bars they will not give you wine or champagne, but they will have rum, gin, and pretty much they will make any cocktail that you want. They do have a lot of variety, so if you like to drink, you will enjoy it. On Wednesday they celebrate the Cuban Day, and they will have a lot of traditional food. They will do it outside of the restaurant, very close to the beach, so they change locations where they will host this big event, and it's fantastic. Seriously, it's one of my favorite things to do there. Now, if you have kids and you want to do something else than being at the beach or at the swimming pool, they do have a mini club, and they will do a lot of activities for the kids. So the only thing that you have to remember is that check the schedule that they have and pretty much follow them. Sometimes they are not in the location at the specific time, but you can keep asking or just wait for them. They change activities, but in general it is very nice for the kids. If you like to work out, they do have a gym. They open it, I think, at 7. I'm not sure about it, but if you want to do something different, there you have this place. Now, a lot of people always ask what else can we do outside of the resort, and one of the activities that we choose was visiting Playa Pilar. To get there, you have to take a bus. You have to pay $5 per person. Don't forget to save the ticket because that allows you to go back to your hotel without paying again. So pretty much this is a public beach, and to be honest, the only difference that we have noticed is that the sand is extremely fine. Feels like flour pretty much. It feels amazing. And as soon as you get there, and if you want to grab some drinks or food, you do have to pay, of course, as well as you have to pay for the chairs or places with shade. So I don't know if it's worth it. I think that if you don't have a nice beach in your resort, then visiting this place will be fantastic. But seriously, it's the same view that we have from our resort, same water, the same color of the water, and I do not recommend to go if you have a nice beach already. Finally, let's talk about the entertainment. And every night, usually after 8:30, they will host a small party for little kids. They will dance. It is quite fun. And at 9:30 they will have all the events for adults, so a lot of shows with dancing and things like that. Now, one special event that they host is every Thursday outside of the hotel. There is a plaza, and here you can get souvenirs. There is a nightclub, a place for bowling. And what they do here is that each hotel that is around this area in Cayo Coco will host a event every Thursday, and every time is different. So they will have live music, a lot of food. It is quite fun. So we really like it. The first week that we were there, they have a band that plays salsa. The next week they have somebody just singing like 90s, 80s music, and always they will have dancing. So a very important tip is that you do have to be checking all the time the events that they are going to have, because if you are like us that spend pretty much the entire day at the beach, they don't promote it. They don't say anything. But if you are close to the swimming pool, you will see a lot of people from entertainment that they will be telling you we have this event and this is happening. So in general, entertainment, if you look for it, you will find it, and it will be completely amazing. By the way, if you visit this hotel for the second, third, fourth time, they do have special dinners for frequent guests, and they have cocktail nights, so it is quite special. They have nice food, live music, and things like that. And the last thing that I want to mention is that in the news, everybody's saying that Cuba doesn't have electricity, which is true, but that doesn't affect the hotels because they do have their own power plants, and you will be fine.
Hi everybody!
everybody. Today we're traveling from Toronto to PEI. It's going to be a month of this trip just because we want to truly explore as many provincial parks and all the beautiful things that each province has. This time we use a trailer instead of the tent. Of course, this was more comfortable, so we didn't have to be packing and unpacking every single time. Now, our first campsite was located in Charlestown Lake Provincial Park. Halfway there, we stopped in the Big Apple. This is a big attraction, and you can spend maybe 2 or 3 hours if you want in this place. It is big. A lot of people stay here just to get some food. If you have small children, this is a good entertaining place for them. This place has a bunch of activities outside, and of course you have to pay for a few of them. In our case, we just wanted to see the petting zoo. Now, I just want to mention that you don't have to pay to see the animals, but you cannot pet them. And the reason of this is because they are located in different fences, and you can just put your finger through the fence and that's it. After this, we continue driving towards Kingston. Here we visit the Marine Museum and of course the downtown. So if you're planning to visit the Marine Museum, I do not recommend it to you. The reason of this is because it is very small and a little bit pricey for what you're going to see. We saw the entire place in less than 20 minutes. So I don't know, it's not a place that I will totally recommend it to you. Now, after that, we continue walking towards downtown Kingston, and in general, the view is beautiful. Luckily, everything is close by, so you can walk. It is just pretty to be there. They have a lot of restaurants, by the way, and here we had the best ice cream. After that, we drove for 40 minutes to get to our first campsite in Charlestown Lake Provincial Park. We stayed there for 3 nights. We ended up paying $50 per night. We have this big trailer and we wanted to have electricity and water. That's why we pay a higher price. But if you're going to sleep on tents or in your car or even small trailers without electricity or water, the price will be less. So that applies to all the campsites that we sleep in. This park wasn't that big, but the lake was just amazing. The water was super clear and not too cold. We really enjoyed it. We pretty much spent the 3 days here in the lake. We really enjoyed it. If this is the first time that you are visiting a provincial park, let me tell you that they do have comfortable showers and bathrooms if you are concerned about it. As well, you can wash and dry your clothing if you need to. After the 3 days, we start driving to our second campsite, La Loutre, which is located just 1 hour from downtown Quebec. From the first campsite to the second one here in Quebec, it's 6 hours. That is what the GPS says. But because we have a toddler, we literally had to stop every hour, every half an hour. And the total trip was 12 hours. That's why we didn't stop to check more things in Montreal. Other than eating in a restaurant and stopping for putting gas and buying some drinks here and there. That's why if you have children, make sure to always double the time that you are going to take. After that, for us, driving 6 hours was too much, and that's why in the rest of the trip we just drove a maximum of 4 hours, with pretty much every time turned into 8 hours because all the stops that we had to make. Now this park was just breathtaking. The view is fantastic. The water is extremely cold, so that's why not too many people were swimming in there. They do have these different mosquitoes that they bite, and the amount of blood that comes from your body is insane. So make sure to bring a good repellent or cover your body very well. Because we were so high in the mountain, this place is extremely cold, so make sure to bring good jackets and pants, because seriously the difference, even though we were in the middle of the summer, here we had to be with jackets and boots all the time. The next morning we drove for 1 hour towards downtown Quebec. And here the first attraction that we visited was the Montmorency Falls, and this is a must for sure. The place is beautiful. There are a bunch of activities that you can do there. In order to access here, you have to pay like $9 per person, and you have different points of view. In our case, we wanted to be on top of the waterfall. Pretty much remember that they have 3 parking lots, 2 located on the upper part, and from there you can see the waterfall so close. The other parking lot is located in the lower part of the waterfall, very close to the river, and from there of course you can see the waterfall, but it's going to be a little bit far away from you. And here you can see the map, so you have an idea of what I am talking about. Remember that the parking lot that is located to the right hand side, that is closer to the waterfall, so you don't have to walk much. The parking lot that we park at, we have to walk maybe 20 minutes to get to the waterfalls. And if you are into like big adventures and adrenaline, you have zip line, and you can even climb beside the waterfall. So this is a place that for sure you must visit. It was just beautiful. The second place that we visited was Old Quebec. You can spend a couple of hours here just walking up and down the streets. They are very nicely maintained. They have a lot of plants here and there. In different corners you will see people singing or playing instruments, which is very nice. Now the stores are full of clothing or restaurants, so for me it was overpriced, but the view was cute. Now if you want to just buy water, there are no places where you can do it unless you go to a restaurant or a bar, which pretty much this place is full of. By the way, it was very hard to find parking lot here, so we had to drive for half an hour until we finally got something. The next morning we continued driving to our third campsite. This was located in Quebec, just in the border with New Brunswick. We stayed in this town for 3 days, and pretty much every single day we went to the marina because it was gorgeous. The view was phenomenal, even though a few days were cloudy, but still the environment, everything was perfect. And when it was sunny, we were able to stay a little bit at the beach, even though we couldn't go inside because the water was extremely cold, but the view is fantastic. A very important detail about this town is that they do have a ferry, and it goes to Les Escumis. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that well, but pretty much that is on the other side of Quebec, and of course you have to pass the St. Lawrence River. It will take 2 hours to go to the other side, and on the other side you have a chance to see a lot of whales, so they do have a couple of activities there. So here you can see the schedule that they have every single day and the price as well. Going on the ferry is a very good option if you don't want to drive so much on the highway and still get to the other side of Quebec. We ended up staying at the Camping Municipal de Trios Pistola, and this campsite does not have a lake or access to water directly. From here we had to walk kind of 20 to 25 minutes to the marina, or some days we took the car and it's just 5 minutes. They do have a swimming pool and of course different playgrounds for the little kids.
I just want to mention that please bring jackets, boots, and whatever so you are warm, because literally from the city of Quebec on the upper part that we were camping, pretty much every single day was raining. Now we moved to this area and it's super cold, windy, and as you can see, fog. Even though we're in the middle of the summer, we were not expecting this.
We continued driving to our fourth campsite, and here finally we arrived to New Brunswick. The drive there was beautiful. You will see a lot of mountains and lakes. Even though you are just on the highway, you will see beautiful things. We ended up staying at Mactaquac Provincial Park. This park is massive. They do have a golf club if you are interested in that sport. They do have a beautiful lake. Sadly, this time we couldn't swim on the lake because the levels of bacteria were very high. So they pretty much prohibited us to swim there. Thankfully, they did have a lot of space to run, hiking trails as well, and beautiful playgrounds. By the way, we ended up choosing this campsite because it was very close to Fredericton. I think it was just 31 kilometers to get to the town, and that's why we wanted something close to go back and forth because we stay here for 3 days as well. The next morning we woke up super early and drove for half an hour to Fredericton. The main thing that we wanted to see here was the Bill Thorpe walking bridge, and it was just amazing. I do want to recommend you to bring your bicycle. If you decided to go on bicycle, please choose the lakeshore area. They do have beautiful biking trails. There you can see a bunch of old buildings and just the environment is very nice. Now, downtown Fredericton is a small, so of course you can walk and see all of it, but seriously, the best way to travel in that area is on a bike. We continue our trip, and this time we move from Fredericton to St. John's. Now here we just did a quick stop in the reversible falls. There are two lookup points, one you have to pay and the one that you are seeing right now is free, so it's kind of the lower part. We stay here for a little bit and then continue driving to get to our next campsite, New River Beach Provincial Park, and we chose this place because it was located in the Bay of Fundy. The Bay of Fundy is a bay located between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and here you can see extremely high tides. So when we got to our campsite and then we went to the beach, we were able to see how the water went into the ocean like so deep, and then in the afternoon the water was back again to regular level. So it is a crazy thing to see, and any place that you stay on the Bay of Fundy, you will experience this. Now, if you're wondering about this campsite, it wasn't too big, but the most beautiful thing to see was the beach. And as soon as you get to the beach, you can breathe the air and it's just delicious. The water was quite warm and the sun started turning red, so it is just magical to be there. We continue our trip, and this time we stay at Fundy National Park.
This park is massive, and just in case, you have to pay extra fees to enter this park. So per night is $16. We are just going to stay one night here and then continue to Moncton.
After we went to our campsite, we immediately packed a few things and went to the beach to see the tides. So every day the tides will be a little bit different. In the Bay of Fundy, you can see 2 highs and 2 low tides each day. The time between a high and a low tide on average is 6 hours. So if you come back to the same place 2 or 3 days in a row, you will notice that the water is at its highest and lowest about an hour later each day. So for example, right now it's 3 in the afternoon and there is no water, but at 9 p.m. this will be covered with it. We had to walk more than 500 meters to get to the water, and we noticed that every 5 minutes we have to move our things because the water was getting closer. It was just shocking to see how fast the water comes up. The next morning we continue our trip and went to the beautiful Hopewell Rocks.
And it's $15 per person. You can enter anytime throughout 2 days, and you cannot bring your own kayaks, so they don't allow you, but you can rent kayaks at this company that is located very close by. So you have a nice playground here and even a restaurant there.
By the way, they always announce when the tides are going to be high or low. In our case, we arrived when the tides were low, and that's why we were able to just walk on the ocean floor. And that is the reason why they allow you to access this place 2 different days, so you have the opportunity to see both things. The walk to the rocks is 15 minutes, but if you don't want to walk, you have to pay $2 each way, and a golf cart will take you there. There are a bunch of stairs that you have to go down in order to be super close to the rocks. Make sure to bring good shoes. They recommend you to not bring sandals because if the floor is muddy, your sandals will get stuck and it's just difficult to walk. You do have to walk a lot, so be prepared for it. But seriously, it was just fantastic to be here. After visiting the rocks, we went to our new campsite and we stayed there for 1 night. Now, the beautiful thing about this campsite is that it's located just 5 minutes away from the Hopewell Rock Provincial Park. The next morning, we went to the nearest town, which is called Hillsboro. They have a train museum. Now, in order to access this place, you have to pay $13, and to be honest, it's not worth it. Now, we thought that we can access and see inside of the trains, but pretty much they are completely destroyed. When we arrived there, they don't tell you anything, so we were not sure if we were able to go inside of the trains. We did it, and then we started noticing that everything was broken, and it was just weird. Then we ended up walking to the end of the park, and they do have a museum there where you can see all the parts of the train and things like that. So at the door there are 2 high school students that they just pretty much check that you pay, and that's it. They don't tell you anything about it unless you ask. So it was quite pricey for what you are going to see. After this, we continued driving to Moncton. This city is big and you have a bunch of activities to do here. We wanted to check the Magnetic Hill Park, and here you have 4 activities to do. The one that we tried was the Magnetic Hill, which you have to pay $7.
So once you get to a certain pole there, that's white, it goes a little bit up, and then you just put it in neutral, but it goes extremely fast backwards on something that's flat. And then once you're going up, it keeps going really fast. Makes you a little nervous. They shouldn't let any cars come by when you're going backwards, because you do need to press the brake, or else you'll make it all the way up if you don't press the brakes at all, which I try not to press them that much. I only press them like maybe twice. It is surprising though.
If you are the person who is driving, you will feel this, but if you are sitting on the back or at the front as a co-pilot, you will not feel anything. The other activity that we did here was visiting the zoo. In front of the zoo, there is this humongous water park that looks gorgeous. We didn't do it at all, but the zoo was fantastic. We spent the entire day there, and it is very entertaining for sure. In order to access the zoo, we had to pay $14 per person, and our child, it was too little, so he didn't have to pay anything.
At the end of the day, we drove for 15 minutes to get to our campsite, and this place was very well maintained. So the nice thing is that it's located so close to the city and you don't have to drive too much. The next morning, we finally crossed from New Brunswick to PEI. And in order to get to PEI, we had to cross the Confederation Bridge, which is the longest bridge in Canada. It is 13 kilometers long, and you have to pay $8.50 each way if you want to cross it. At the end of the bridge, there is this beautiful lighthouse, and from here you can take a few pictures as well as appreciate more the bridge. Immediately after this, we continue driving to our next campsite, and here we have one of the best experience when we step on the beach sand. Here we experience some of the tide as well, and for that reason the ocean floor was uncovered and we were able to see a lot of shrimps, clams, snails. It was just such a weird feeling stepping on it, and it was gorgeous. Sadly, I couldn't film because we were so entertained seeing all of it, but it was just fantastic. We stay in this place for 2 nights. The nice thing as well is that it's located just 25 minutes away from downtown Charlottetown. Another thing that you have to remember is that PEI is very small, so you can get to places very quick and you don't have to drive too much. Once again, this place is good if you have kids, so they have a lot of activities every single day. They have the swimming pool and of course the beautiful beach. The next morning we went to explore Old Charlottetown. This area is small, and for that reason you can see all of it in a couple of hours. If you don't have too much time, the best way to see all the town will be on a bicycle. Now, one of the places that everybody recommended us to visit was Cow's Ice Cream, and I don't know, I was not impressed too much about the flavors. For us, the best ice cream that we tried was in Kingston, Ontario. Now, if you're hungry, you will find a bunch of restaurants all over the place. There are 2 main locations where everybody goes because you find a lot of fast food. One is the Pig-Skin Marina, and the other one is the Founders Food Hall and Market. We continue our trip to the upper part of PEI. It took 1 hour to get there, and we stay at the Twin Shores camping area. This park was amazing. It was humongous, and because of that reason they have 2 areas and each area has a different beach. Definitely this was one of the most expensive places that we stayed at. It cost us almost $100 per night, but it was totally worth it. The reason of this is because they have a lot of things there. For example, they have a restaurant, a coffee shop, and a lot of places for little ones to just play around if they don't want to go to the beach. As well, throughout the day they have a bunch of activities for them and even for adults. As I mentioned before, the park is big, and here you have options of renting a bicycle or renting a golf cart. If you don't want to do that, you can just call the front desk and they will send a golf cart to pick you up from your campsite to the beach or vice versa. The beach was so beautiful that every single day we spent the entire day there taking the sand, the breeze, and the water was just perfect. The only bad thing that I will say about this place is that the showers are paid. This was very annoying because we never paid in any place that we stay at. This was just surprising for us. After the 4 days in PEI, we start heading back home. We couldn't visit Nova Scotia because they were having a lot of problems with floodings and the roads were completely destroyed. That's why we had to start our way back and we stopped at River Run Resort in New Brunswick. It took us just 4 hours to get there. At this point, it was already more than 3 weeks since we started our trip, and we were getting tired of traveling. That's why from here to Toronto, we stay in every place just 1 night and that's it.
Now, this campsite wasn't the greatest. They kept the place quite disorganized and everything was very tight. The campers and trailers were so tight to each other that it felt like we didn't have space at all. As well, they didn't have a beach, so just to stay and chill out throughout the day, it's quite difficult if you want to be on the water. Now, if you have a boat, this will be a gorgeous place for you because the river is humongous and of course you can spend the day on your boat. The next morning we continued driving to Quebec and we stay at Bast Saint Laurent Coa Resort, and this place was gorgeous. The view to the lake was amazing. We were so high in the mountain that we were able to see the entire lake. Around here you have a lot of activities to do if you like the outdoors and nature. Parking here is a little bit tricky, so what they do is usually they will take you to your spot and they will help you a little bit. Once again, I want to mention that because we were so high in the mountains, this area is quite cold. That's why I just bring like good jackets and raincoats just in case the weather is not that great. Normally, we are the people that will spend the entire day at the lake, but my child was very cold all the time and he didn't want to be close to the water because it was cold. So the majority of time we ended up choosing places that have swimming pools and my kid could enjoy it a little bit more. The next morning we continued driving and we got to Quebec City Coa Holiday. And this campsite was located just beside the highway. We thought that the sound of the highway was going to be super loud, but thankfully the trees will cover the entire sound and it was very quiet and calm, unless you are playing at the playground where literally you see the cars passing by. Surprisingly, this place was very cute, and once again we just stayed one night here. We realized that we really don't like to be in the cities. For us, crossing Quebec and Montreal was a torture. There were so many cars, so many people around. On the way back we decided to just avoid at all cost the cities and just stay in more natural areas. The next morning we woke up super early and drove to our next campsite in Montreal. We wanted to avoid the traffic because it gets quite chaotic during the day. That's why we left at 6 in the morning. Now, if you are wondering, this campsite was very nice, even though it was so close to the city. It has a lot of space. Because we arrived early, we were able to explore a little bit this park and enjoy the amenities that it has. We realized that it is not nice to travel and just stay in a place for one night. It turns out to be super tiring. It doesn't look like it, but we were so exhausted of just being on the highway or seeing cars. That's why in our last campsite we stayed for 3 days. The next morning we drove and finally got to Ontario. Here we stay in the 1,000 Island region. You have a lot of options of taking boats or cruises to explore the river and the little islands if you want. Our campsite was 1,000 Islands IB Coa Holiday, and it was super cute because they have a lot of green space. Now in this park we stayed for 3 days, as I mentioned before, and it was super relaxing. Sadly, the majority of days on our way back it was rainy, and that's why we were not able to visit more places. And if it was just my husband and I, for sure we will travel more, but because we have a little one, it was a little more complicated. The next day we woke up super early and it was a Sunday when we head back home. We chose that day because usually on Sundays the traffic in the morning is less chaotic. We're finally at home and the big question is how much money we spend in this trip.
and it was a total of $6,000 for one entire month for my husband, my baby, and myself. Just $3,000 was specifically for gas. The other $3,000 pretty much went towards all the places that we stay at, plus groceries. We didn't eat much outside. Maybe, I believe we went to 5 or 6 restaurants in the entire trip. For the majority of time, we were cooking for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in our RV. Now, the price turns out to be a little bit higher because we went on a RV and we were choosing to get electricity and water, and that's why the prices went up. But if you're going on a tent or you just don't want water and electricity on your campsite, the prices will be lower for sure. So today I'm taking you to Ecuador once again. This is my favorite place to be, and the main reason is because it has 4 different regions. The Galapagos Islands, where you will find these humongous turtles that have been alive for over 100 years, and another amount of animals that are amazing to see. The coast, where you will find beautiful beaches. Sierra, where you will see really high mountains, and the Amazon region. If this is the first time that you're visiting the country, you need to know that they use American dollars. For this reason, it could turn a little bit cheaper or expensive, depends on the activities that you do and where you go. One amazing thing about Ecuador is that it's really small, and because of that, if you are located in the capital city, if you go north, south, east, or west, the temperature will change dramatically. Today I'm going to be more focused on Quito area and the surroundings. Our first stop it will be in the historical center. This place is just unbelievable. The most amazing thing to do here it will be visiting the churches. In order to go inside of each church, you will have to pay around $2 to $3. A couple of them, they took over 100 years to get built. The best thing to do is take a tourist guide because each church has an amazing story to tell. You will find a few details here and there that are just crazy. Pretty much every church will have a lot of details inside of it, and they are covered with gold leaves, which is just unbelievable to see. 2 in particular that I would totally recommend you. One is called the Compañía de Jesús, and sadly they don't allow you to take pictures inside because everywhere it's covered with gold leaves, and for that reason they don't want any type of flash reflecting the paints. It's quite amazing to be inside. And the other church that is pretty cool to hear the story is La Iglesia de San Francisco, and basically the story says that Cantuña, which was a builder, need to finish the entire church in one day, and if he didn't do that he was going to be killed. So basically he made a deal with the devil, and the devil had to finish the entire church in one night. So at 6 in the morning, Cantuña noticed that the devil didn't put one stone, and for that reason he could keep his soul. There are a lot of activities and places to visit in the historical center, but if you like to hear a little bit of the story of how Quito became more independent from Spain, I recommend you to visit the Wax Museum. They will explain what happened and all the battles that people have to had in order to become more free. After this, the best idea it would be visiting the Ichimbia Center, which is located 20 minutes away from the historical center, and this is located in the top of one mountain. From here you can see the entire historical center, all the churches, and pretty much all the view from the entire Quito area. And one amazing thing is that downstairs you have a restaurant, or if you go out of this place you will have a bunch of restaurants on the street that will have this amazing view at night. I don't know, the experience is really nice, the food is great, it's a good time to spend the night with friends and family. My next stop is El Teleférico. This place is just unbelievable. In order to go there you have to pay $8.50, and that allows you to go 20 minutes on a ride up to the mountain where you will see the volcano called Huayllapichincha. The view is just breathtaking, it's gorgeous. As a huge recommendation, please bring a jacket. I already met a lot of people who told me that they assume that Ecuador is really hot all the time, but because you are here in mountains, the weather is pretty cold and really unpredictable. So make sure to bring something light, but at least you will be covered a little bit. Remember that you're going to be 4,000 meters over sea level, and that means that it's quite difficult to breathe and once again extremely cold, so be prepared before going there. My next place to visit it will be Papayacta. This is a small town surrounded by mountains, 1 hour 45 minutes from Quito. The main attraction here is visiting the natural hot springs. The price, it goes between $3 to $10, and everything depends on how fancy you wanna go. In general, the weather here is really cold. For that reason, you don't wanna leave the pool. And something beautiful about this place is that on your way there, you will find a lot of mountains and the view is just breathtaking once again. So now guys, we're going to the middle of the world. This is a monument located half an hour away from Quito. In order to go in, you have to pay $5. The main attraction here is putting your feet on each side of the line, and basically you are stepping on the two hemispheres of the world. And you have a couple of experiments to do here. The coolest one for me would be putting one egg on top of one nail. At the beginning it was quite difficult, it took me 2 minutes to do it, but finally I got it. Inside the monument, you will find a museum that will show you the culture of Ecuador, which is pretty cool to see. And another type of experiments. The best time to go, it will be on weekends because there is a lot of people singing, dancing, and pretty much a lot of events happening those days. My next stop will be the Antisana volcano. This is the 4th biggest volcano in Ecuador and the view is just beautiful. Kind of for me looks like Iceland, I don't know why, but it's just similar to it. The elevation that this volcano has is more than 5,000 meters over sea level, and this means that breathing here is quite difficult too. As long as you don't run or do too much exercise here, you will be fine. Now from Quito, it will take you maybe an hour and a half, but the only bad thing about it is that there is not an easy access. This means that you don't have any type of bus that goes directly to this point. So basically you need to rent a car or maybe take a tourist guide who can take you to this point. If you are more into hiking and you want to go to the top of the volcano, the only way that you can do it is if you ask for a pass to the government first. Remember, once again, be prepared with a nice jacket because the weather here is really cold. When we were there, we started having a lot of rain and a little bit of hail too, so be just ready. After spending a couple of days in Quito, we decided to move to Santo Domingo, which is part of the coast region, and obviously the weather is warmer. So it will take you 3 hours to get there from Quito. Something that you have to be all the time checking is the window, because here you will notice the amount of mountains, the shapes, the colors. Oh my god, it's just crazy, it's beautiful. So please always check the window everywhere that you go. So the main thing that we decided to do here is exploring the waterfalls. So there is different locations that you can do that. Here the adventure was pretty cool. It was one of my favorite time to spend in Ecuador. it's quite a really nice rush of adrenaline if you are walking to the 7 waterfalls, because you had to pass through some really stretchy areas and you had to use a couple of cables and ropes here, so it's quite scary, but the experience is totally worth it. After spending the day in the waterfalls, we decided to go to the town and visit the Rescue Animal Center. They charge you $2 to go in, and here you will see a lot of animal species that are native from the area. So the next week we decided to explore more waterfalls because they were so beautiful. The weather and in general being there is so refreshing and so nice that we have to explore and see more of them. So this time the hike was a little bit harder, but once again totally worth it. And the final destination for my video today, it will be the beach. Normally from Quito will take between 6 to 12 hours to get to any beach, and the access to there is quite easy too. The buses will charge you between $8 to $12, depends how far you want to go, but the buses are really nice to travel to, so you will spend the entire night without problem. Now about prices here, so if you go on slow season, they will charge between $10 to $30 for your hotel, but when it's really high season, they will charge between $30 to $40 per night. So check before you go so you can have a better deal. Now about food, please try everything that you can in this country. The food is so freaking good. If I'm not mistaken, maybe they will have about 500 traditional dishes. If you're visiting the Sierra region, what people eat the most here, it will be pork, chicken, beef, and potatoes. And the one that you're seeing right now is called jaguar locro. Basically, it's a soup made of intestines of sheep, and they will even cook the blood, obviously with nice seasoning there, and it's amazing. Sounds quite disgusting, but honestly, it's one of my favorite dishes to try. If you're concerned about the prices, let me tell you that truly is really cheap. So these that are most traditional dishes, they will cost you between $5 to $10, exaggerating, but regular food that you will find a lot of restaurants all over the place, usually they charge between $3.50 for lunch, and usually that includes soup, rice with any type of meat, dessert, and juice. Now we're moving to the coast region, and most of the people eat here a lot of plantain and seafood. Once again, the flavor is something that I cannot tell you because it's so amazing that, oh my gosh, my mouth is just watering right now.